by the Indian Association of Cambodia in collaboration with Indian Embassy, Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Mayuri Bhan. I'm a former brand management and marketing consultant, a bioinformatics professional, and currently an educator. I have the honor to be your moderator for today's program. Empowering women is empowering humanity. In 1909, we realized saving our planet, lifting people out of poverty, advancing our economic growth, connecting the dots between climate change, water scarcity, global health. Basically, nothing was possible without women working side by side with men. Therefore, the International Women's Day was first celebrated on 28 February 1909 in New York. Cut back to 2020, countries with women leaders such as New Zealand, Germany, and Bangladesh received global praise for their effective handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kamala Harris broke a glass ceiling and became the first female, Black, South Asian American Vice President of the United States. And Scotland became the first country to allow free and universal access to menstrual products. This year, the UN Global Theme for International Women's Day, Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. And our campaign theme, #Choose to Challenge, celebrate the tremendous efforts by women and girls around the world in shaping a more equal future and recovery from the pandemic. In today's webinar, we have esteemed women from all walks of leadership, women who have broken the barriers and have come a long way to have their names embossed permanently in a man's world. We will be hearing the experiences of three Indian guests, Mrs. Priti Jitani, Ms. Nehal Jain, and Ms. Priyanka Chaitri. Three esteemed speakers from Cambodia, Ms. Ratana Phurik-Callebaut, Ms. Kounila and Ms. Kim Tan. But the icing on the cake, if I may say that, is our chief guest for today, Dr. Devyani Khobragade, Honorable Ambassador of India to the Kingdom of Cambodia. This webinar marks the first event towards our celebration of Amritmahotsav, which is the celebration of 75th anniversary of independence of India before 75 weeks. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you all so much for joining us today. We are truly honored. Without further ado, I would like to welcome on board the President of the Indian Association of Cambodia, Mrs. Kumudini Vichare, to give us the welcome address. Kumudini is an educator, mentor, social activist, and a highly recognized figure in Phnom Penh, with numerous affiliations with various socio-cultural organizations. A big round of applause for Kumudini. Welcome, Kumudini.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be with you today in the company of so many amazing women. Someone has rightly said, it is said that girls with dreams become women with vision. May we empower each other to carry out such vision, because it isn't enough to simply talk of equality. One must believe it. And it isn't enough to simply believe in it. One must work at it. So let's work at it together, starting now. I'm sure many of us have fought against all sorts of stereotypes, but there is just one way how women respond to stereotypes: by going their way, showing leadership, and excelling in their field. And today, the whole world can see that we are all better off when women get the opportunities they deserve. Of course, women are made of science. Of course, women are fit to lead. Of course, career and motherhood can go together. It is obvious, but unfortunately, it still needs to be said. This Women's Day is for women on the front line and for women in the back office. It is for the health workers who have been our guardian angels, and it is for our sales assistants who have kept our supermarkets open. Women's Day is also for all the mothers who have taken care of their children during the lockdowns, while also working from home. But this Women's Day is also for the women who lost their job during the crisis. And Women's Day is for those who no longer want to settle for discriminations, insecurity, and unfairness. When I talk about women in leadership, one name that comes to my mind is of our Honorable Ambassador, Her Excellency Dr. Devyani Khobragade. Dr. Devyani Khobragade earlier worked as a medical doctor and then joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1999. During her diplomatic career, she has served in Berlin, Islamabad, Rome, and New York. At headquarters, she has served in several divisions. Before taking up her assignment as Ambassador of India to Cambodia, she was heading the capacity building and cultural and heritage project of the Ministry of External Affairs as Joint Secretary since 2019. Dr. Khobragade has published a collection of short stories as well as a popular children's book, The Adventures of Young Ambedkar. She is a certified yoga instructor and a distance runner. She also has deep interest in Vipassana meditation and Buddhism. Let's join our hands to welcome the Honorable Chief Guest, Her Excellency Dr. Devyani Khobragade, to enlighten us with her success story. Dr. Devyani Khobragade.
President IAC, our speakers today, and the organizers of the webinar, Chumrib Sur, and good afternoon, namaskar, to all these bright women over here who have taken the initiative along with the supporting men, especially from the IAC, the Indian Association of Cambodia. I'm truly honored and delighted to be amongst you today to celebrate the International Women's Day and also to launch India at 75, the Amritmahotsav, the program of the Government of India to celebrate 75 years of our independence anniversary, which we will be celebrating in 2022. This is indeed a double honor for me because we launch the India at 75 Amrit Mahotsav with a Women's Day celebration, and therefore it's a double pleasure and a double honor to do this particular inauguration. I'm really indeed grateful to the IAC for taking the initiative despite the COVID pandemic and the community spread that we are seeing in Cambodia currently. And we hope that we will be able to surmount this and with the able guidance and the able leadership of the Cambodian government, and of course with the help of international partners, including India, which is at the forefront of fighting the pandemic. As you're aware, the Indian government has been at the forefront of fighting the pandemic globally. We have not looked at the pandemic as a national crisis, but a humanitarian crisis, and guided by our leader and Prime Minister Modi, who has always propagated human-centric globalization. India has taken initiatives to underscore the fact that the pandemic has to be fought with international cooperation. To this effect, as you're aware, India has, during the first crisis, supplied 150 countries with essential medicines, including paracetamol and hydroxychloroquine, and as well as with essential medical equipment, including ventilators and so on, especially to our neighborhood, but extending up to the CARICOM countries. We have covered almost 150 nations. And during this, during the second phase, where we now have the instrument of the vaccine, we have made sure that we consider the Indian vaccine as a global good and have been supplying to almost 70 countries all over the world, which includes grants, donations, commercial supplies, as well as through the COVAX facility. This is not surprising considering that India and our tradition and culture has always been that of internationalism. We have always, through our tradition, culture, or history, throughout history, we've always been focusing on internationalism. And this is true and so evident in a country like Cambodia, where you see the influence of Indian traditions, culture, language through the millennia of exchange between India and Cambodia. And that's primarily been due to the influx or the outflow, I may say, of India and Indian traders and peaceful messengers of India through religion, through religious leaders, through intellectuals. And I'm proud to say that all of this influence of the Indian culture, tradition, and history is completely non-violent. And there has never been a single incidence of a war or a aggression from India towards any of its Southeast Asian partners, including Cambodia. And this is a tradition that we are proud of, and this is a tradition that that defines and informs our association with the world, including on issues related to that of women's rights and women's future in the contemporary world. As we speak of the pandemic and India's role in the pandemic, I'm very proud to note and to inform, especially our Cambodian partners, Cambodian women and men who are joining us today, that the entire COVID response was led by a woman health secretary, Ms. Priti Sudan, who was our top bureaucrat, who led the response, the COVID response, was of course a woman, and she ensured that we give a very human-centric and woman-centric response to the pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, the government of India announced around several packages of around $260 billion, where it was ensured that the sectors where women are involved, where the number and percentage of women involved in those particular sectors is high, is given a priority. For example, our first focus was on agriculture, health, fisheries, and these are sectors where women participate in large number in the Indian economy. Also, the frontline responders in the COVID response in India have primarily been women, as we have a high percentage of women doctors and including paramedical staff, such as the nurses and Anganwadi workers. And therefore, the pandemic response has been certainly led by women, right from the top to the bottom. Now, in the post-pandemic or the pandemic, we hope that this is a post-pandemic era, and we are coming towards the end of the pandemic with vaccines as our major, instrument in our hands. We need to, as women leaders in our respective fields, focus on the fact that the pandemic has disproportionately affected women. Whether it is in Cambodia, where the primary sectors of the economy, such as tourism and garment industry, which are led by women labor force, have been affected strongly, and thereby affecting women more predominantly than men. The focus of women leaders and the leadership in general should be on how to effect a equitable post-pandemic recovery where women are kept in focus, and the loss of livelihood and the disproportionate effects, negative effects of the pandemic, whether it is even through domestic violence, which has affected many women, those who have stayed back at home during lockdowns, and that's a trend that has been seen worldwide, not just in our two countries, needs to be addressed very strongly and stringently. And that's something that should be at the forefront of the minds of policymakers, policy implementers, and women in the private sector as well as the government sector. We are gathered today to discuss and brainstorm on ideas that we can take forward as women in our respective fields. And I would like to hear from all these talented women here, especially from the Cambodian side, on what are the ideas where India and, what are their ideas on how India and Cambodia can collaborate in working towards women's empowerment in Cambodia, since this is an area that India is it's an idea that India is dedicated to. We have been working in all our government policies, keeping the SDGs in mind and working towards the SDG, related programs that lead to women empowerment. And so I would like to hear from you and also assure you all who are listening in and tuning in today that we, as Embassy of India, consider and have it as our, and announce it today as our priority to look at projects related to women empowerment, whether it is through working with the Cambodian government at the policy level or even at the ground level through our quick impact projects, which work towards small projects in Cambodia with a capital cost of about $50,000 per project, looking at impacting the lives of the common people in Cambodia on the ground level. So far, we have worked on many projects which directly impact the lives of women and children under this Quick Impact project. We have built school buildings for women and for children, for girl children, for the girl child in many of Cambodia's provinces. Thinking about how important sanitation and wash-related programs are, especially for the girl child, and how their participation in school drops during the time that they reach menarche. We have been focusing a lot on wash projects and have built about 200 to 300 toilets in girls' schools as well as in households with the girl child. And going forward, I would like to to look at more innovative programs, innovative projects, perhaps advocacy related projects as well, especially this year focusing on menstrual health. And since we have had this great advancement that you mentioned, Mayuri, of how Scotland has
Scotland. Yes, ma'am.
provided and has ensured menstrual products free of cost to all women and girl children. This is an area where Cambodia and India both face a lot of biases and superstitions, and perhaps it's time to make it cool to talk about these things and to break these barriers and challenge these barriers. And I would be very keen to see if we could come up with a something that maybe Cambodian and Indian artists could address this issue and try and break the taboos and have more conversations around it. That could be an area that we could work on. There could be other areas, of course, building infrastructure and looking at ways and means of providing support, whether it is human resource development, which or infrastructure support for women and girl and child, looking at women entrepreneurs, which I see are present here in large numbers, including our very own Indian entrepreneurs, Priyanka. Happy to see a woman entrepreneur starting a
Thank you.
online business that helps households get safe deliveries of supplies, household supplies, especially through the pandemic. And of course, so many other Indian and Cambodian entrepreneurial women. I'm so delighted to have you all here today and to hear from you. So let us have a more of a discussion, and please give me ideas on how you see the Indian Embassy contributing to the women empowerment, SDG goals, and policy, initiatives of the Cambodian government, because we will be very, very happy and to take these forward. And as I said, this year, through our Quick Impact projects, we will be focusing on areas of health, IT, and tourism related, projects, because these are the ones which can actually reach more women and girl children. Health-related projects are, of course, very crucial in the post-pandemic period, and especially as the most vulnerable sections of the society, which include women and children, do not get equal access to health. We will be focusing on health. Tourism, as I said, is a primary contributor and a very strong sector of women participation in Cambodia, that being another reason why we have chosen tourism related projects where we would like to focus. This could include ecotourism, encouraging ecotourism, developing community-based tourism, and of course, IT being India's strength and a complementarity for Cambodia, which requires and would do very well with IT-enabled e-commerce services and also, of course, human resource development. I'm glad to announce that we have built an IT center in Cambodia, which was inaugurated last year. And this is under the ASEAN framework, and it should start training young, IT aspirants this year, first online and then hopefully also regular training courses. So please spread the word around. This has been this has been created under the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication umbrella, and their institute, their primary, their flagship institute called the Cambodian Academy of Digital Technology, CADT. So we will continue our efforts to bring in more IT and IT related, also STEM related, education through these IT centers that we have around Cambodia. Uh, another center that we had helped develop was it's called the National Institute of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. That's Cambodia's flagship institution for skill development, and through that institute, I propose to conduct STEM education and skill development for women in far-flung provinces through Cambodia. And so here is another area where we would look for, ideas and consider this session as a crowdsourcing session. And please throw in your ideas, whether it's in the chat or raise your hand. And I would be very happy to hear those and engage with you on those further today and, of course, going forward from here. So with those words, I thank all of you for coming together despite the pandemic. That shows the spirit of Cambodian and Indian women who are, leading the charge on the fight against pandemic and the COVID pandemic, and will be equally important actors and players in a post-pandemic era in both our countries. So 3 cheers to all of you, and thank you again for having me here and for your attention. And we look forward to your participation in the India at 75. We will be doing a lot of crowdsourcing activities, competitions, and we look forward to the participation of the Indians in Cambodia, our diaspora, and also Cambodians who are invested in India and India-Cambodia friendship. So with that, I would now hand over again to our MC, Mayuri, and look forward to a very productive session with all of you. Before I end, I must also say that this is just a curtain raiser for Women's Day. And we will continue this, our Women's Day celebration through the year, and hopefully offline. The next event that I was planning was a networking session for all our Cambodian and Indian women entrepreneurs that Priyanka has very graciously agreed to orchestrate and to lead. And we wish to see that take off the ground very soon. Priyanka, I hope you've started working on it, and I'm there to support you and you. Yeah. And then we'll of course have more ideas emanating from this webinar that we shall take forward through the year as a year-long celebration of International Women's Day.
Wow.
Thank you all, and I hand over back to you, Mayuri.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for those inspiring words. I think the way you put it, the culture of internationalism and nonviolence, I think that sums up the nature of women, the nature of International Women's Day, and the nature of India-Cambodia friendship. Yes. Moving on, without further ado, come on. We will move on to our first speaker for today. And as Madam said, this is a year-long celebration. And one of the first speaker today, she has undertaken the task for networking of India and Cambodia, networking of Indian and Cambodian women entrepreneurs. She is an entrepreneur who has taken the path less traveled, a path that was rocky and difficult. But Priyanka Chaitri decided to go for it. Priyanka Chaitri is the founder and CEO of Grocerdel, Cambodia since 2019. Grocerdel is an online grocery store that delivers goods from local businesses that you want to support, and the wholesale products. She aspires to take Grocerdel to new heights of success by making grocery shopping easy and convenient. Her current work for Grocerdel is to create a balance between a happy customer and an efficient supply chain. And keeping these elements in mind, the speed, agility, customer focus, ownership, freedom, fairness, and responsibility. With a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Priyanka Chaitri.
Thank you, Mayuri. That was a lovely introduction. I was just listening to you the way you were saying it. I feel so privileged to be a part of such an amazing and inspiring woman. To sit in this panel and to speak about myself, I feel so much gratitude towards it. I think my journey as a woman entrepreneur started with the thought, just go for it. Plan for it for sure, but do not overthink. That is what I personally believed. I knew that I could not solve all the problems beforehand. So let the problem come down the road. So I will solve it. That is how I started my journey. I believed my idea, and having faith in what I was starting, I started it. After a few months of struggle with operation planning, marketing planning, app development, vendor acquisition, Grocerdel was launched. I, with two other employee, I can say two other team member, we started our first day. All excited, fully loaded, charged, energy, and then we come to office. We said, okay, it was the day one we are going to receive our orders. Day one, no order. Then it was day two, there was no order. Then it comes day three, day four, day five. To be truthful, our energy was like going down. I was tensed, worried, anxious. Oh my God, what is going to happen? Because we put in all our efforts and everything. My brother used to call me from back home. He used to say, okay, did you get an order? No, then don't worry, you'll get it tomorrow. He was the way he used to say it to me every day. Then there was day 6. I received our first order on day 6, and it was my friend who ordered it. And from there, I think my journey started. We launched Grocerdel with 3 pillars. The pillars which we personally believed in it, I personally believed in it, and those were sustainability, made in or produced in Cambodia products, and women empowerment. I clearly remember the day, my initial day, I want to say my initial day when I was doing fundraise, I was presenting my idea with a panel of investors sitting on the other side of the table and telling me, I have this idea, these are my pillars. Which I got from them is to sell groceries, you do not need all these pillars. It's just a waste of time and it will make no difference. That was my first introduction with the investor, and that is how I got it. However, that day I was standing strong on my idea, what I wanted and what I believed. And today, when I speak in this forum, I proudly can say that yes, doing plastic-free deliveries, we are doing our bit to the environment. We have a board hanging on our wall in office, and we see every day how much plastic we have stopped to go to waste that day. Not only me, my delivery drivers, my team, even our customers feel so proud about that. And I will never say, I want to say that the pat on my back was the day when I received a call from Economic Research Institute from ASEAN to speak about the sustainability process in and MSMEs. So that was the proudest moment and a pat on my back.
Amazing. Yeah.
But I will not lie, I still worry. I can't imagine a single day where I do not worry about the job of my staff who have trusted me, the sale of my vendor who have given me the responsibility to sell, and also the return for my investor. I believe that being an entrepreneur or being a CEO is similar to being a mom. I've been working every single day for the past 2 years every day. Just because And I am driven by our mission to lead the mission every day. I think, and that is what I think my ongoing journey is. And let's see what the future waits for me.
Wow. My God, Priyanka, that was so exciting. I mean, the way you were telling me the first 6 days, I was sweating here.
Indeed, it was that one. We were so supercharged and excited. Day 1, day 2, day 3. It was like
Yes, and I think, yes, you said it is. I think what makes you and what makes each woman so special is it takes a woman's heart to have that guts. And I think Madam Ambassador would agree with me, because very few of us, and I think we women can say that we have the guts, we have the courage to face those kind of obstacles. Thank you so much, Priyanka. That was so inspiring. Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Ratana Phurik-Callebaut. Ratana is a CFA and a multicultural management executive with 20 years experience in international trade and investment. She decided to undertake new challenges in May 2018 and take advantage of all the experiences she accumulated to become a senior consultant. She specializes in private sector development, investment, and finance. In parallel, she launched the Cambodia Community of Investment Professionals with the support of the CFA Institute. This very personal project aims to build internal skills and capabilities in financial markets in Cambodia in order to allow the future, or order to allow in the future, if I may say, more sustainable development for the country. Ratana, it is an honor to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayuri, I mean, for this very nice intro, and thanks to the Indian Association for inviting me. It's really a pleasure, I mean, to be with such a nice group today. So I was reflecting a bit on my journey, and you know, I realized how much being a returnee has influenced my life and changed me in a positive way. I left Cambodia when I was 2. I had a nice career in finance and never thought about coming back. But I did, and it changed everything for me, because I'm not an activist, but you know, gosh, in Cambodia, you can really make a difference. And in fact, I mean, the country, I could say that helped me to connect more, you know, with my feminine part. I was all about, you know, performance, perfection. I was tough. You need sometimes, I mean, to be like that, you know, when you live in a man's world. But here, you know, it's really less about competition, and it's it's more, you know, like about it's more about, you know, community, patience, and also transmission, because education in Cambodia means really everything. Yes. Looking back, this is probably, I mean, what makes me the most happy, you know, like in this journey. Indeed, I'm proud about, you know, like 2-3 things. First things is that I have been able, I mean, to promote Cambodia abroad, I mean, to investors. And it's a small victory each time, you know, an investor come back to me and tell me, oh, wow, Ratana, this is not what I was thinking about. You know, I mean, the country is much more, it's much, you know, you have much more opportunity. And indeed, people have in mind, you know, like the temples, the Khmer Rouge, but there's much more to offer, right? The second thing is indeed, since I left Eurocham, I'm much more involved, you know, like in the SME and startup community, and it's just great. You know, I meet people like Priyanka, for example. The energy is just incredible, and the startup, I mean, they just want to learn. So I mean, it's just great. You know, like all the, I would say, yeah, the ecosystem. And the third thing, as you mentioned, you know, is my involvement in the CFA community in Cambodia. so not so many people hear about the CFA, but in India, I know it's very popular. But CFA is all about, it's a little bit an elite club. It's all about, like excellence. It's very demanding. It's about resilience. And not so many, like people are used, to this kind, I would say, of level of excellence. And we have we organize, for 3 years now, this research competition with, with university students. And it's pretty impressive because when they start, they know almost nothing, nothing. Because it's an equity valuation. They have, in fact, to write, an equity research about a listed company. So you don't have like so many companies listed in Cambodia, obviously. So they don't know much. And when they finish, they have to present the report. And 4 months later, so they present, like things in such a professional way. They have learned so much along the way. Yeah, no, really, because it's a global competition. And then, they go, like abroad and you just see it. And the best of it, the best is really to see the girls. The girls in finance, wow, they just nailed it. Like you see them, they're strong, they're fierce. They're so clever. And in a world, like finance, which is, male dominated, seeing them in action, you just, like feel that sky is the limit. And it's also all about, like transmission I think it's for me, it's really something. And so, yeah, I think that's mainly all, like I would say that, yes, after 17 years in Cambodia, I had a beautiful journey, but it's less about having had like a nice career or about growing professionally, but because simply I think that having an impact, as small as it can be, it's really incredibly fulfilling. Yeah.
Wow, Ratana, that was amazing. I think the one sentence that struck to me in this incredible journey of yours was that Cambodia helped all of us connect to our feminine side. Yeah. And that I think that feminine side of yours actually gave you so much strength that today you're mentoring university students, making them so capable. I think that is amazing. That is so amazing.
I'm not doing it alone. We have, like a team of finance professional. Some of them are CFA, and it's incredible. Like I would say all these people, because most of them are, like highly and very busy professional. Taking the time, to do it. It's something. For me, at least,
Wow. So I think you can really, like how Madam touched upon the topic of new investment opportunities with India, which India and Cambodia together can look into. Yeah. And which can involve students. So I think Madam Ambassador would agree with me that we can definitely take Ratana's help in this, right, ma'am? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, can I just, say one additional thing? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
To answer, maybe, just to give an answer to Madam Ambassador. In fact, I'm also working, like on an internationalization program with ADB, SME internationalization, Mekong, India. And it's a program, that aims, to connect, like both region, well, India and Mekong region, and they want to, like to help SME, to go more to go more international and access to market. And yeah, that's it. We just started recently, and I would be happy, to promote more and discuss more about that.
That is excellent. Yes, madam. Please, ma'am.
Certainly, yes. That's a great initiative, Ratana, and your story as well as Priyanka's story is so inspiring, and we need to see how we can get SMEs to use technology and leverage technologies and go international. And so I would love to bring you in my office very soon once the COVID situation normalizes, or maybe we can just have another webinar and I can hear from you more about how we could how we could support you and take this Mekong India SME internationalization program forward.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to hearing more details on this, Ratana. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Priyanka, who helped me already on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ratana. Thank you. It's so great to hear you. Thank you so much. Moving on to our next speaker, I must say she's a personal friend and an amazing woman to get to know. Sorry. She is an international expert in public health with more than 15 years of experience in global health. She has worked across a wide spectrum of organizations, including UN, multilateral, bilateral organizations, national governments, state national governments, NGOs, and private sector. She arrived in Cambodia in June 2018 to join the World Bank Country Office to provide strategic support in health system. She later joined the World Health Organization Country Office to provide technical support on universal health coverage, health policy, health financing, and private sector engagement. Heartiest welcome to Ms. Nehal Jain.
Thank you so much, Mayuri, for this wonderful introduction. I would like to thank IAC and the Embassy of India for organizing such an important event today. It's an honor and privilege to be speaking here today and be a part of this Women's Day celebration. I would also like to thank Excellency Devyani for highlighting this women leadership for COVID-19 and other entrepreneurship ventures. And I'm proud to say that we too have a very strong leadership here in Cambodia at WHO and Ministry of Health who are managing COVID-19 response. And this is such a proud thing to say. Yeah, thank you. And friends, as we know, I mean, we are in one of the most challenging times in human history. The world is experiencing unprecedented challenges from COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic, that could erase development goals of many countries. And this is the time where heroes don't wear, goggles or caps, and heroines don't wear makeup or heels, but many do wear masks and facials.
Yes.
And yeah, in this past 1 year, I had this opportunity to work with these real life heroes in Cambodia. And I feel so happy with that. Working with this core COVID-19 team from WHO to support the Ministry of Health, my role involves leading several aspects of the response and preparedness. And we are working on a mission mode with the developed partners of Cambodia, with the funders, the Ministry of Health, all the health facilities as a team for this cause. And my focus has been to convert this situation as a blessing in disguise and work in such a way that it strengthens the health systems of Cambodia and have a very long-term impact and benefit to the people of Cambodia. It was mentioned in the opening remark that girls with dreams becomes women with vision. And that is my story. When I was in school, me and my sister saw gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics on television one day, and we dreamt to become gymnasts. And the next thing we know is we were working day and night to achieve this dream. However, the journey was not easy. I mean, we had no instruments, we had no proper place to train, we had no coach in this field, but the vision was very clear, and we found out a way to achieve this dream. We ended up having national medal in rhythmic gymnastics in India, and I was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for performance in gymnastics.
Wow.
But when we chose this path, this was very unconventional and at a very young age. And attending this training camps and national competitions in several locations, this was not very much acceptable to the society where I come from at that time. But my parents chose to support me and my sister, and that gave me an opportunity to meet different people, go to different places, understand the issues of the ground level, to understand the public systems in the country. And that made my path very clear. I clearly knew that I want to devote my life for the development sector and welfare of the people. And so I chose public health as my career. This was again a very unconventional path, but having this strong and supportive family, I continued working in the field. I spent years in different villages, different cities and towns, different provinces and countries, to have a very in-depth understanding of the ground realities and also to contribute to the health and well-being of the population. I won't go into the details of my CV, but broadly speaking, I got to lead many organizations in this journey. I got to support many ministries of health in many countries. And my strong foundation, I think, has made me confident to impact global health policies on international forums.
Wow.
My learning and contribution are going hand in hand, and I feel proud and confident to lead several working groups here in Cambodia and the efforts with Ministry of Health to respond to COVID-19. I would end by saying that everyone is blessed with distinct abilities here, and my message to all the women here would be, push yourself out of your comfort zone and have confidence in yourself, be open to learning at any age, and be bold enough to take risk. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nehal. I think the line that you said, Nehal, superheroes don't wear capes anymore. I think they actually wear masks and surgical gloves and are working hand in hand together and not alone. And I think your work with so many leading or being a part of the COVID-19 response team here in Cambodia. And as Madam Ambassador mentioned that, women's health is one of the pillars that she is working on, right, ma'am? Please correct me if I'm wrong. So maybe, Nehal can be a part and, she can really help us in guiding this particular pillar and taking this pillar forward in women's health in Cambodia, where she can be a part of our mission. Yes.
Thank sure, so that would be an honor. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Moving on to our next speaker. Our next speaker, my friends, is an amazing woman who is not only a leader in the corporate sector in Cambodia, but is equally active on the social front to provide a platform for the other successful Khmer women to inspire others. Ms. Kim Chan is the Chief Digital Strategy Officer with Prudential. She is responsible for the planning and execution of initiatives to reach more customers using digital channels. In her current role, she is responsible for the planning and execution of simple healthcare solutions to be delivered on an AI-powered app, which is called Pulse by Prudential. Her purpose is to make trusted insurance accessible to all Cambodians. She has also launched a project called Her Voice. It's a platform featuring many successful Khmer women and showcase their talent and struggles to empower and inspire others. A warm and hearty welcome to Ms. Kim Chan.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm very honored. Hello and good afternoon to the Honorable Ambassador, Dr. Devyani, our esteemed panelists, and the wonderful moderator, Majori, and to everyone who's joining us on this webinar. Thank you to the Indian Association of Cambodia, President Kumarini, and the team for inviting me to speak. I'm truly honored. I believe each of us have a story to tell, a unique story to share, and I encourage you to take the opportunities to share the story. We can certainly learn from one another and be inspired by your courage and your sacrifice, I'm sure. My journey so far has been a blessing on so many levels. I have a wonderful and supportive family. I'll share with you a little bit about my childhood background that I can remember. So when I was about 6 or 7 years old, we stayed in a refugee camp in Thailand before we moved to the US. And I remember maybe I was about 6 or 7 years old. I remember waking up very early before dawn. I've done this many times. I would take my little stool and I would go off to be with other people, like waiting in line. And what was I doing? I was being like a placeholder for somebody.
Right.
We were waiting in line to receive food, letters, or documents from families and relatives, and this was all in the refugee camp area. And I had people who would pay me to be like a placeholder for them. And so, and then there was another time when I remember also in the refugee camp in Thailand I was helping my mom and my grandma make like crochet Barbie dolls dresses. And that's how we were getting paid. And so I've learned from a very early stage, there's opportunities to make money everywhere. And if there isn't one, you create that opportunities. I actually offer to people, would you pay me to sit and wait for you in line, you know? So you don't have to wake up early, and then you can just come when the food are ready to be distributed, whatever. So there's opportunities that you can create, right? If there isn't one. So for several years, I feel I experienced this upward movement in my professional career. And as I reflect back, I'm thinking that, you know, I've actually invest a lot in myself. I continue to build up my capabilities for all of the different, throughout my different work that I've encountered, I've continued to do that. And one of our guest speakers says, step out of your comfort zone. And I've actually stepped out of my comfort zone 2 years ago when I decided to move myself and my whole family from the US to Cambodia, across the world, which is a big, major life-changing experience after living there and growing up there for the last 30 years. And also talking about, you know, doing things like attending school to get my bachelor degree while I was working full-time, and also being a mom during all of that. And I have to say that I was able to cope with all those activities in my life because I had this mindset. I have this mindset that I was living the life the way I wanted to live. And so I surround myself with people that I wanted to be around, that are supportive to me. And so through all the career changes, you know, some are good, some are bad. My greatest weapon for me in facing all those challenges and all those obstacles is knowing that I have a choice. I can choose to continue or not continue. So that's what I wanted to share. And then at this stage in my life now, being in Cambodia the last 2 years, I wanted to do work that will leave positive impact for the country. So when I first moved to Cambodia, I was a country manager for a microinsurance company that was really the purpose of the company was to offer products and services to low-income families. And we have a lot of those families living here that are near the level of poverty. So they need a lot of these protection services, and they need to have access to that. And now being the Chief Digital Strategy Officer for Prudential, which is quite a fancy name. But what I really love about this role is that I'm able to contribute design products that will provide affordable accessibility to to all Cambodian people, to have access to protection, and also to have tools and resources to keep them healthy, because you know, so they can stay healthy and not get sick, and not be a burden, financial burden to the family. So that's what I really enjoy about being in this current role of mine. Last but not least, along this professional career that I have going on, I also have a side project, like Mayuri had mentioned, called Her Voice. And it's a platform to feature other Khmer women as role models to lift, inspire, and empower other Khmer women. Through the sharing of their personal journey, you know, sharing about their struggles and their success. So we're lending a platform for women's voice to be heard, of her capabilities that she's able to show, we wanted to show other Khmer female and really females around the world that you have a voice, and with your voice, you have a choice to act and express and choose the life that you want to live. I see so many opportunities in Cambodia where that could be very impactful, because I want society to see that women are just as capable as the male counterpart, right? And they should not be valued any less than the male counterpart for doing the same work. This is my way of giving back to the community to help eliminate those deeply rooted cultural belief and bias and stereotype that continue to keep female as secondary. And this biased view, in my opinion, is not only just coming from men. They're actually believed by many other women as well in society. So I wish to tell women out there, all the females out there, to get to know yourself and get to know how you want to live your life. You have a choice and you have a voice. So keep on learning and keep on enjoying this journey we call life. This year's theme for Women's International Day is choose to challenge. And my advice is challenge yourself by choosing how you want to live your life. And so that's what I wanted to express in this webinar. And I'm super excited to be among the speakers.
Yeah, super excited to have you, Kim. This is so good. And as you said that the platform, her voice, I don't know, Madam Ambassador, if we can also use this platform or collaborate with Kim and use this platform, because she has, I think, if I may say, a big database of Khmer women who want to voice out their choices. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kim. It was such an honor to hear you. Moving on, I'm genuinely honored to introduce our next speaker from the Indian community. She is my personal inspiration, an amazing soul, and one of the few ladies who embodied this year's theme, Choose to Challenge. Mrs. Priti Rahul Jitani has over 18 years of experience in various roles in India and currently spearheads Vita Biotics, UK's #1 vitamin supplement company, as the regional head since March 2018. Being a dreamer and an achiever, Priti believes each individual is unique. Her vision has always been to lead and inspire women to find uniqueness within themselves. Her work has always been about breaking the stigma and discrimination against the conventional methods of instilling medication or de-addiction. Welcome, Priti. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Mayuri, for the lovely introduction. Greetings to Madam Ambassador, all the lovely ladies, IACEC members, our President Kumudini ma'am, friends and family who have joined on the webinar. It's a real privilege today to have be a part of this forum. And I hope I can do some justice, the honor for being the speaker on this panel, esteemed speaker. Let me tell you something about myself. I come from a very orthodox Hindu family and got married very early at an age of 21, just out of college. The first hurdle for me was the stereotypical societal rules where the daughter-in-laws cannot work. No. Flowing against the tide, I started my career at 28 with a long gap, and both my daughters were born, 7 years of backlog. To catch up with the new generation, this was the next challenge that I had in my life. The only thing that I had in my mind was do it. That's all the goal that I had in my mind. Here, I have to say, I couldn't have done this without my husband's rock solid support next to me. This was the initial step and the key to my success. My father, my brother, my uncle, they were constantly a part of my journey, held my hand, guided me through it. The most important aspect, Mayuri, I would say here is self-evaluation.
Right.
So when I say self-evaluation, having started my career and the Gen Next urged me not only to be constantly filling my gap by knowledge, but also unlearn the preconceived ideas of doing things in a certain way. So I had to complete my MBA. I did an advanced marketing postgraduate with just ensuring that I'm working together. So I should say I'm a science graduate with an organic chemistry major. And when I went to MBA doing finance and marketing, that means I had to first go back to basics of accounting, learn that. Or when I went into job, I must to, because they were using Tally, I must to learn what is Tally, how it is operated, or what is taxation, because the language of the accountants cannot be understood otherwise.
I think Ratana can vouch for that. The language of the accountants. So
it was like, yes, you have to, every step, you have to keep learning. And without that, you cannot move ahead. That's what I can tell about mine. So every step helps you grow. If you identify the gaps, you will be growing. And if you enjoy that learning, it'll be easier. But if you don't, then you will just lose interest in your job, is what I can frankly say. So I have followed this particular thing very closely in my life. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. I have never attached a standard format of idea, but I keep exploring the waters for new ideas and new knowledges. Another very important thing is not getting affected by the comments of the world, and especially coming from men. I should rather put it like that. So when somebody passes a remark to me, it just gives me an extra boost of enthusiasm to prove that person wrong. I could rather tell like that. Yeah. So I can give you an example here. So when I was working with one of my previous companies, I met an ex-employee at one of the conferences, and quickly there was a comment. The comment, I will read it out exactly to you. In sales and marketing, you have to travel and stay away from home for weeks. This is not your cup of tea. Oh, okay. Before I could even prepare my reply, the manager or the zonal manager standing next to me replied, "My madam travels 21 to 24 days a month without a break across India." So I was like, do it, don't say it. Say it. Yes. Actions speak louder than words. Yes. Yes. Another thing I can tell you about me is I have always jumped into situations and then learned to swim. So I was like, take the decision and then make it happen. Right. So I love challenging myself. I'm not afraid of taking risk. To create that change, I always put myself and my reputation on the line, and then I'm ready to take the new normal or embrace that new normal within me. That's how I can tell about myself. Right. Another thing that we should always remember as leaders, that we should never believe that we know everything. Right. Because if we put ourselves into that category, we are doing the biggest mistake of our system, because we need to reinvent ourselves. The marketplace is changing. We need to get dirty every day with the things in the market. Exactly. Only then we can again reinvent and become more polished and seize new opportunities. So I would like to end with a few thoughts and some takeaways rather from my experience in this journey. And because this privilege of sharing my journey I have been given here to the beautiful people who are there online, is take responsibility and be accountable. That builds the trust and it promotes leadership. Another very important thing is whenever we take up a new assignment or a job, let's just have an entrepreneur's mindset. And most of us are entrepreneurs, the big lead girls here, the big ladies here. Align your expertise, incentivize people, and create the change is what I would rather say. Change, yes. And always believe in success and draw inspiration, and never forget your inner instinct, because sometimes it speaks more louder than your logical and intellectual mind. And last but not the least, never forget to hold the hands of your colleagues and down the line people. Because when you hold them, you will never fall, or they will not let you fall down. So all the women colleagues are a part of my journey, I have always told them, just do what you feel right and best. I'm there here to support you back.
Absolutely, absolutely, Preeti. I think the one word that really stuck with me was self-evaluation. You know, I genuinely feel, Madam Ambassador, if you can just let me know, self-evaluation, it's a very scary word, actually. It's a very scary word, like, you know, even as women entrepreneurs, because as an entrepreneur or to take any initiative, you need to self-evaluate at every point. And it feels so scary, but great job. You all have done such a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you, Preeti. Thank you so much. And our final, sorry, madam.
It's not, it's something that women do very well, and sometimes actually too well, rather. We are very self-critical.
Yes.
And of course that comes also because of the socialization and the hardwiring that goes into us.
Yes.
But to have a positive self-evaluation and to tell ourselves that, yeah, we don't know everything, but that's okay.
That's okay.
The greatest attribute that women have, you know, that we actually need to share and make our male counterparts learn much more. And that's one thing that I think also is something that I do so often, because I meditate, and in meditation it's all about evaluating yourself and seeing how you become a more stronger individual. And that's a very good point that Priti has made. But I think what we need to be careful about is how we shouldn't self-critically, you know, is sort of be self-deprecating. You know, that's
and yeah,
one danger of self-evaluation that we must always be aware of and be cognizant of and be warned that we don't do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. And our final speaker for today, and believe me, we have saved the best for the last, is Ms. Kounila Kayo. Kounila Kayo is the managing partner of Mekhala Radiant Communications. She's heading the regional operations, focusing on integrated marketing strategies, PR, and digital campaigns. A journalist by training, having reported for AFP and other international publications for 6 years, she understands Cambodian and Southeast Asian media very well. She was an ASEAN Youth Forum Fellow in Singapore in 2018. And in 2017, she was featured in Forbes 30 Under 30 in the category of media, advertising, and marketing. Welcome, 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 Kounila.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayuri, and hello to Madam Ambassador and to all the distinguished speakers. I feel so humbled and honored to be here. I love the stories that you all have shared. I had goosebumps from the first speaker to the one before me. And I can say that I can be here today because of you all, because of women like you who have paved the way for me. And don't get me wrong, I understand that I'm probably the youngest here, but I understand I am here because you like me to share a little bit of story about myself.
Absolutely.
And I've learned so much from you all, from your experiences, from your stories, and that has really inspired me greatly. So I don't want to stand between the questions for our amazing speakers and our audience, but I'll be very brief about my introduction. And thanks again for the amazing introduction about myself. Really, I started as a journalist at the age of 17. The reason of becoming a journalist at that young age was the curiosity to understand Cambodia's history and atrocities. And as a young girl of that age, I understand there are so many young girls who get to do different things. And at the time, I was given an opportunity to go to, this journalism school among other 29 students in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
So I enrolled into this journalism course for 4 years. And at the age of 17, I decided to become a journalist and learn more about Cambodian society. And then my journey took me to another area, international development, working with different international organizations in the country and also outside the country. Right. 3 years ago, I was given an opportunity again to run a company, and I said yes. And like Miss Priti, I got into decisions, and I learned to swim after that, and I really did that. And so that's why I'm here today, yes. Because of taking and daring to take major decisions. And it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I've made tons of mistakes, but I've learned from those mistakes. And I want to share this message that it's okay to make mistakes, and it is very important to learn from our mistakes and you know, look forward to a better future. Yes. So that's pretty much what I would like to share. Thank you so much.
Wow, great. I think I would like to add, Kounila, that you being the youngest, I think is today our biggest achievement. I think this is one of the biggest achievements that at this age, you are a part of this, such an amazing webinar, and you are getting invited to be a speaker at Women in Leadership. I think it cannot get better than this. I'm sure Madam Ambassador would agree with me. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kounila. Without wasting further time, I would like to inform all our speakers that I'm going to open up the panel for discussion. I would like to inform all our participants from Cambodia, India, and all around the world that we are opening the session for discussion. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask our esteemed speakers, please write them in the chat box. So when I want to open the session, I think the perfect person for it is none other than Dr. Devyani Khobragade. Dr. Devyani, the Oxford Dictionary meaning for the phrase, the glass ceiling, because we keep hearing this phrase everywhere nowadays. It is an unacknowledged barrier to advancement in a profession, especially affecting women or other minority members from rising beyond a certain level in hierarchy. I would like to know from you, madam, that what are your thoughts on the glass ceiling and how as leaders today we can work towards breaking and shattering this glass ceiling forever?
Thank you, Mayuri, for this very pertinent question. Yes, many people do not believe that the glass ceiling exists, especially because it's glass. Why it is so important to keep acknowledging that there is a glass ceiling and not just with words but with action is because if we as women leaders want to do that, then certainly you will never hear that shattering sound ever. So we need to you know, when I think of my own profession, and it is a very it's always traditionally been a very, very male-dominated profession. I mean, it's historically speaking, whether you know, we see hardly any women in diplomacy, and there are perhaps the only women who had an opportunity were the women who came from a royal background, and we very, very strong examples, of course, but very few. You see, you know, Rani Jhansi in India, and then you see, of course, Elizabeth, and so many more, you know, both in the West and in the East together. But then to see the numbers rising post, you know, post independence, but steadily, has inspired me to see the glass as half full, but of course recognizing at the same time that it's, you know, why we are here is because of women before us in our fields. And in the case of the Indian diplomacy, we have a very strong example of the first woman IFS officer who challenged the system by, she challenged this very unfair practice whereby women who married, foreign service women, diplomats who married, had to resign from the state. And she went to the Supreme Court of India to challenge its decision. And I'm sure while she is now revered as a role model and a pioneer for women in Indian diplomacy, the kind of resistance and she must have faced while she was actually taking up this discriminatory practice, I cannot even begin to imagine.
Yes.
While we remember women like that, we must remember that we are here because of them, and therefore it is our responsibility towards younger women who are coming into different fields, new fields, and completely breaking fields that we really need to support them and acknowledge that there is a glass ceiling that we all need to, shatter together. And that's something that I would, I would emphasize and request all women and men. All feminists are not just women; there are very strong male feminists, and I count my father and my husband amongst those. So, and I'm sure there are so many in the audience who are listening who will identify with that.
Absolutely.
So we need to get all of those to talk about this glass ceiling that exists in every field.
Every field, yes. And taking that thought from there, that glass ceiling exists in every field, and these gender-based stereotypes that exist. As you said, IFS is one of the most traditionally or notoriously, if I may add, a male-dominated field. Same, Ratana.
Not just IFS, every foreign service in the world.
Yes, every foreign service. You are absolutely right. I stand corrected. I would like to ask Ms. Ratana to, financial or analysts or CFA, CAs are it's also a very male-dominated field with a very low glass ceiling, if I may add that. So how did you challenge these gender-based stereotypes? How did you overcome these specific challenges and barriers related to gender-based discriminations?
Okay, so I'm going to distinguish two things. First, I totally agree. with Madam Ambassador, and let me say it like this: I think that most of us are in total denial, about this glass ceiling. In total denial, because when you start, especially like in a male-dominated industry, what you want is simply to blend. So you just make sure that you will blend, you will wear, like the appropriate outfit, and you just want, people to forget that you're a woman, because it's so difficult. And because, there's so many, matches. And let's say it, we have, to say it. When you're young, when you're a woman, when you're competent, and I don't even, add, when you're good looking, it's you just face, all the stereotypes and everything, that we hear, about women. So yeah, you're just in total denial, right? And I was acting like not like a man, but almost, like I was trying to blend. And it's only later that I believe that indeed it's so important to acknowledge it. You can't always win all the battles. So, there's no point, of having this flag of, I'm a woman and I should do this or that. But at least, acknowledge it also for the next generation and support them whenever it's possible. Because when you see, someone, being discriminated so clearly, you need to say something, right? And most class, I mean, don't say anything because, yeah, I mean, you just think about also sometimes your career and it's just so accepted. So that's exactly, I mean, the definition of glass ceiling.
Right. Right.
On the other hand, I would like, I mean, also to highlight in Cambodia, it might be a bit different. And why? Because here again, education matters. In the field of finance, accounting, and also I think IT, I mean, you do not have like that much this discrimination because skills is more important. When you have very, very competent women, young or like or more like educated, not or more mature, I would say, in higher position, it doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman. I would say that I know in the field of finance, a lot of CFO. No, sorry. I mean, I would say like financial officer who are women. Why? I mean, because they were probably the most competent, and also because skills, like, are so scarce in Cambodia So yeah, I think that if you have the education and if on specific, like area, you don't have that, and that's what's matter.
Wow, I think this is a very good perspective that yes, all over the world, the glass ceiling, as you said, is pretty low. But yeah, here, your skills matter so much. And, going on from that, I would like to ask Ms. Kim a question. Actually, this was a question from one of our participants, and this is regarding skills. Kim, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Kim, I would like to ask you, like, with regards to skill, like, is it necessary for a person to be in a job as per the degree for survival? And what about his passion? We have a lot of young crowd today who has joined us, who are specifically aiming to acquire knowledge-based skills, profession-based skills, but their passion is maybe acting, singing, modeling, and they're trying to do this part-time. And, our participant really wants to know that, how do you balance this passion and skill? And is it ever possible to make your passion your skill?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is a very good question. My early experience in my childhood, when I talk about there's opportunities to make money everywhere. So I believe that some opportunities are already there and some needs to be created. So if you truly believe that what you're going after is you believe in it, you have a passion for it, you will create an opportunity for yourself. Mm-hmm. And but I'm going to step back a little bit as well, because this is male and female, so it's not just for women, right? It's that first, you must know yourself and your capabilities. Do you feel that you need to have a secure job while you're exploring the side jobs? So the most important thing is know yourself, understand your capabilities well, so you can make an informed decision about how you want to live your life. Do you want to live your life by just going straight after your passion? Or do you want to live your life with some stability where you have income and while you pursue your side passion and make it become a reality for you one day?
Right.
But what's also important to understand is that for a long time now, I've been able to choose positions that I was passionate about in a corporate world, you know. So it's not necessarily that you have to have some boring job and then go and pursue your other passion. I think because you are going to spend so much time at work, working, that my advice to you is pick either a role or a company with a vision or purpose that you truly believe in. Then when you are at work, when you spend that 8 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours at work, it also becomes a passion, because now you believe you're contributing to something greater, right?
Yes.
And you can always do something. And this really, I think this question speaks to me, you know, as you shared in my introductory. I have my professional career, that I'm truly passionate about as well for the contribution that I can do to the company and the community. And then I have my side passion, because this is something that I want to address personally, you know, for gender equality. So it doesn't have to be one or the other sometimes.
Absolutely.
It really doesn't. And so just understanding yourself, know what exactly your capabilities, where you are in your life, so you can balance those two together. It's not always, you know, and that's also with the questions of like professional life versus personal life, right? Sometimes it's just which one takes priority at a certain moment, a certain day, you know, over the other. So you can always integrate those two together, because your work life is a big part of your big part of you, you know.
Yes. So I think like, yes, that's what you're like, you know, you have really driven the point, like creating that opportunity and, you know, keeping that. And I think in today's world, even as women leaders, if you really want to forge ahead and go ahead, we have to make our passion our work. I think that is like the way ahead, and creating an opportunity wherever it is available. I would like to ask following on this line, Priyanka, a question, because you have taken up your passion and you have turned it into an entrepreneurial venture. Priyanka, tell me, like, you know, in your opinion, what is that one thing that you will look for when evaluating someone for a leadership position in your organization?
Okay, thank you, Mayuri, for the question. I think for me, my experience, which I am about to speak right now, leadership is a quality which a person carries. Okay, it gets better with experience. So for me, if I look for a leader right now in my company, it will be commitment and operation with honesty, the operating system, because now we work here as a team, as a family, who has the motivation to reach the company to a certain level. If he or she has the same vision to do the same thing and to envision the same thing, I think that is the quality which a leader should have. And plus, there is a team who is looking up to the leader. So they should be able to lead those team members who are there. So they should set an example. So that is what my words of leadership would be.
Wow, that is so good. That is so good, Priyanka, because as you said, leadership is a quality, and for you, leadership is commitment. On the same note, I would like to ask Kounila. You know, Kounila, you have taken up this leadership position and a commitment to Mekhala from such a young age. So what is that one big challenge that you faced and you wish that, you know, you had tackled it differently, like in retrospection?
Thank you, Mayuri. That's a very good question. Reflecting the previous experiences and whatever that has happened, I can say that one thing I could have done differently was taking comments. And like Priti rightfully said, you should not be bothered by the comments and teasings from other people. But at the time, I was kind of like, you know, being offended. But then I realized that, you know, along the way, there will be people trying to stop you from achieving your dreams, your goals. You know, in Cambodia, in the past, it was very much so in the past that we had to follow these girls' admonitions, the thing. And growing up, I was repeatedly told, not by my mom, but by other people, that I had to not laugh loudly, walk too quickly. So, but because of my mother and because of the women that have walked before me, they did not listen to such a thing, such teasings, comments, and whatever. So this is just my point. It's there will be people talking along the way. They will not stop, even if
they will not stop.
Right. So it's important to know where you're going and just go for it. And yes, take those comments. And if they benefit you, just take it in. But if they don't, just say goodbye and then move ahead. Thank you.
I think that is so right. Madam Ambassador, I would like you to come in at this point, because as Kounila was saying, you know, people will always talk, people will always comment. And you said that in your house, your husband, your parents, you had a very good family support, feminist support. Yeah. But obviously you have had your share of people trying to pull you down, the crab mentality, as we call it. Can you give us your insight on that?
not always very easy despite family support, because you are a social being and you are, a woman in the public eye, and so it seems like women who are in public positions are the easiest and the quickest targets that that most men and even women, I mean, would target. And so it's been a very difficult journey for, frankly, very difficult journey to just tune out the public, especially in the digital era where it's just so easy to get targeted. And you just have to, learn to develop a thick skin and ignore it. Of course, there are times when you just have to challenge it too. You can't let it go. And one has to follow a combination of both, that this is at the personal level, of course, my own experience. And this is where, my Buddhist background has helped me. I give I always remember, whenever I'm targeted unfairly, this story of Gautama the Buddha, who says, which goes like this. There is a man who comes to the Gautama the Buddha and says, he comes and abuses him, that what are you talking about, and you are no good, and you're this and you're that. And then the Buddha tells him, Venerable Sir, when somebody comes to your house and brings some gifts, and if you don't accept them, then what happens? He says, the gifts remain with me. And then that's what the Buddha tells him, that, so all the gifts that you brought for me, I don't accept them. They are with you, and please take them back.
Oh my God.
And that's what I always try and remember.
That is so good, madam.
But that doesn't mean that one doesn't, this is an endemic problem, and especially in the digital era, and that really needs to be addressed. And men and women all have to stand up to this sort of undue criticism and digital bullying, especially.
Agree.
Glad to see that India has promulgated laws against internet and internet bullying, and there are protections available that, of course, one doesn't. We don't feel very, inclined to exercise those, because there are. It does involve so much of your energy and so much of negative.
I agree. Yes.
But yes, sometimes one has to take a call that it has to be done.
Yeah.
Yes, at most times, I suppose we all have to, educate our youngsters, not to, indulge in this, especially young boys and young girls, to stop this sort of, women, to target women, especially women who take a stand.
Take a stand. I agree, ma'am. Especially women who take a stand. I think I think you have put it so well that instead of every time when I hear people say we need to educate our girls, I think you have today said a very important line, that we need to educate our boys, our sons, that you do not need to pull down, or you do not need to feel threatened if a woman is making a stand. On that note, I would like to ask Priti. Priti, Sheryl Sandberg in her book states that when a man is successful, he's well liked. Yeah. But when a woman does well, people genuinely like her less. Do you agree with the statement?
Yes, Mayuri, I agree with it very, very clearly. But yes, on that personal note, I would say likability and success both go together at all stages. It also means that it is not related to men and women. When success comes too quickly, people around you generally don't like it. But I have experienced innumerable times a quote, I have to quote this, then a woman gets success too quickly, it's never attributed to her hard work or her talent,
Right.
or even to her perseverance. It is always but to something, you can say, extra. They will all say that she has been doing something for her immediate bosses or the people.
Agreed.
It is never attributed to your hard work. So loose flowing comments start, like most women. I have also gone through the such mindsets. I have had my piece of good and bad both in my life. And it's almost like we have accepted this behavior of the society. It's become normal for people to think this way, but working women, no matter the field. It's a pity. We need to outgrow this discussion. Also, I can say here that women have to really work hard when it comes to even choosing your profession or a job, or ask for a pay scale rise, or even for a designation to get promoted. It's never easy, but if compared, men get it very easily. There was an instance I can tell you from my previous company, in a past job. So I was recruited as a head of marketing division for a pharma company, and I was leading the marketing division. And they were already, when I joined, and they were already medical reps and managers all in place. And it's been a year through, and this manager who is heading the medical team, reps team, comes up to my managing director and says, I am not going to report to this woman. You make me the marketing head. I cannot handle women. I cannot take orders from a woman. So it was like a challenge coming back to me. Or even his comments were like, you try to change, I will see how can you bring the change around. So, but for me, it was like, it's okay. It's because of my work and my success that you are saying this, because you're not able to do the same.
Right. I think that's...
Society believes that the women have to be nice, sober, soft-spoken, always low. They should not get into leadership, or they should not dictate terms, rather. That's the way. So the moment you put your team to push your team or do something, they will just come back and lash you back on things.
Right. I think yes. And as we all realize that it is not just any foreign services or not just CFA, but this is like all over the world. Even today, women leadership is not accepted so casually. But on the other hand, I would like to ask our speaker Nehal that, you know, there's a certain group of men who are also very supportive. And can you let us know that, you know, how can men today contribute more towards women's empowerment?
Thank you, Mayuri. This is a very interesting question.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to specifically wind up because I knew after all that bashing, we need to at least acknowledge those men who have today helped us to reach where we are. Yes.
True.
Yeah.
I definitely, man has a very important role to play, but I also believe other women around you also have a very important role to play in empowering women. I mean, it starts at home. Like if you have a daughter or a sister, we need to start treating them as a son or a brother, the same way how we treat our sons. And we should give her equal rights, I think. We should give her equal opportunities to explore the world, equal education, or the education she aspires for, to the learning, or to fulfill her dreams. And if you have a wife, I think we should start by respecting the collaboration and the interdependence on each other, rather than domination of one gender in the decision making. And I think we can start by moving from the gender stereotypes in the society and treat women as equal counterparts wherever they are, at home or society. And society in general, we have to start by looking women as capable. Like one of the speaker mentioned, I think Kim mentioned, that women are capable and society needs to start looking them as capable counterparts. I think we need to start this. And we need to respect women who are in leadership positions, who are taking decisions. We need to respect those decisions and provide appropriate working conditions and equal opportunities, space, and not forget to be gender sensitive.
Yes.
So I think man has a very important role to play. And I feel so grateful that the man and the woman in my family were so supportive that I was able to fulfill my
Amazing.
dreams. Thank you.
I think that is so well put. That is so well put. I think Nehal has captured all our thoughts, and it was a very, very interesting panel discussion, speakers, and even we have been getting so many comments from our participants on the chat. And here I would like to request Honorable Ambassador Dr. Devyani Khobragade to wrap up today's session with her closing remarks.
Thank you, Mayuri. Thank you for so elegantly and successfully steering the conversation. And thank you for all this. Thank you for all the inspiration that all of you women have brought to this conversation today from Cambodia as well as from India. And this session has been truly inspiring to me, as well as to many people who have been listening. I'm sure have been inspired by the stories of all of these talented, dynamic women who are, the pride of our nations, both the nations. I thank Kumudini, for the president of IAC, for providing dynamic leadership to the IAC. And here again, I'm so happy to note that the IAC is led by a woman, and I'm sure that we will do a great job of collaborating with our Cambodian friends in bringing together the synergies of both our countries, and build upon the common heritage and common values we share as extended neighbors and extended, extended families. I would say, I would dare to say that, because we've had years and years of, millennia of shared culture and shared experiences. So here I would like to again reiterate our commitment from the Embassy of India in Phnom Penh to the cause of supporting Cambodian women through our work that we do here, and so many ideas that I've received while I've been listening to all of you inspiring women in the areas of capacity building that Ratana is doing at the universities, whether it is health-related, public health-related interventions that Nehal is steering along with her dynamic team at the WHO, or entrepreneurs like Priyanka are charting their own paths in a very male-dominated fields of commerce, e-commerce, where I don't see many women in this space. So this is again a reiteration and a promise that we will work with all of you, and I look forward to this not just being a one-off discussion, but we should promise ourselves that we come back next year and see where we have your initiatives by supporting each other and supporting women's entrepreneurship, not just in this small group, but of course reaching out to many more of your counterparts, whether it's in the government or whether it is in the private sector, and especially in rural Cambodia, where I think we need to reach out to the more far-flung areas, and we are, whatever said and done, very privileged to have educational background and the kind of opportunities we've had, and if we can even reach them to a fraction of women through our work in more disadvantaged areas, I think we should consider being successful in our own respective fields. So thank you once again to the IAC and to the men behind the scene who made this possible, and also to especially the Cambodian participants. Thank you for the warm space and the welcome that you provide to all Indians living in Cambodia, and we really look forward to working with all of you through the year. So thank you and have a wonderful weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to now welcome Ms. Riya Nanda to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Mayuri. What a wonderful event it was. Honorable Chief Guest, Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Devyani Khobragade, our most valued invited guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and privilege to extend a vote of thanks on this occasion. John F. Kennedy said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Today, my words are not enough to express my gratitude. On behalf of Indian Association Cambodia, I would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to everyone for gracing the very first event of the year 2021, International Women's Day. First of all, I would like to thank our respected Ambassador Madam, Dr. Devyani Khobragade, for giving her full support and encouragement for the event. Thank you for the knowledge and inspirational thoughts you have shared with us. We are grateful to our dynamic speakers representing India and Cambodia, Ms. Kim Tan, Ms. Nehal Jain, Ms. Ratana Phurik-Callebaut, Ms. Priyanka Chaitri, Ms. Kounila and Ms. Priti Jitani. A big thank you to all of you for sparing your invaluable time and enlightening us with your commendable talk on women empowerment. You have indeed put best of your efforts to make this event an unforgettable one. We are all inspired by your great words. Many thanks to the organizing team, along with the Indian Embassy for planning and executing this great event. Once again, I would like to thank each and everyone for your enthusiastic participation and making the event successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Riya. I think Riya has absolutely captured all our heartfelt thanks to all of you. A challenged world is an alert world. Individually, I think we all are responsible for our own thoughts and actions all day, every day. We can all choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. We can all choose to seek each other out and celebrate our achievements together. Collectively, we can all help to create an inclusive world. From challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge today. Here is to strong women present here and all around the world. We know them, we are them, we raise them. Thank you and have an amazingly good evening, all speakers, Devyani ma'am, and all the participants. Thank you and bye-bye.